Another game that I would love to see a return of at some point or another, even though it looks at this point that most likely we're not going to get a return to this franchise, is Haze, guys. A franchise that, and really just a single game that was made on the PlayStation 3, and due to a number of different issues, of course, between not only the reviews of this game that were very, very poor reviews, maybe a huge missed opportunity here, but nonetheless, I actually thought that the experience was a lot of fun, but I guess, it doesn't really come down to just one person thinking it was a lot of fun and hoping for a, continuation of the franchise. I want to talk about what happened to this franchise. And so, guys, Haze, for those of you who don't remember, it was a first-person shooter game that was developed by Free Radical Design. It was published by Ubisoft for the PlayStation 3. It was released in May of 2008, guys, for Xbox 360, or the releases for Xbox 360 and Microsoft Windows were actually canceled, which I also think might have hurt the game kind of in the long run as well. But nonetheless, guys, so it was made, of course, brought out 2008, and then the modes, it had a single player and a multiplayer mode. Now, what I will say is this. It's a first-person shooter, another one of those first-person shooters that I think had a lot of potential. It looked like people were calling it the Halo killer. People actually thought that this could be something huge. And then, of course, had a very short single-player campaign, which I agree, definitely had a very short single-player campaign. The multiplayer, though, was great in my opinion. But overall, guys, I think what happened to this franchise was the reception. If you look at all of the different feedback, the reviews and such, it's pretty abysmal, and it's something that really did not do very well whatsoever across many different, review sites, that being like Metacritic, Eurogamer, even IGN, Giant Bomb. Prior to release, Haze garnered considerable attention. Some media sources deemed it a Halo killer. However, upon release, the game received mixed reviews according to the review aggregation website Metacritic. Poor reviews included Giant Bomb, which gave it a negative review, largely due to its many glitches and extremely short single-player campaign. Eurogamer called it this year's most significant gaming disappointment. Jeff Haynes of IGN criticized the horrible plot, weak gameplay mechanics, and visuals that are truly underwhelming. Tons of visual issues abound within the game, from textured tears and nondescript environments to pop-in and odd animation problems. Greg Damiano of Game Revolution cited examples of bland gameplay and graphics and blistering sound, and commented that the main character, Shane Carpenter, whines and pouts all through the campaign. So look, guys, what it really comes down to is that there was so much bad reception around this game that I actually think that's what really hurt this game significantly, because I really felt that they had something special here in this game. I really do. I believe it to this day. A very interesting concept that just was either like, all in all, I feel like it was just not developed like fully. Like, it was kind of, the single player campaign especially was very short, but what are people going to come back to? People are going to come back to that multiplayer experience, and because of like glitches and things of that nature, I just think a lot of people moved on to like other games. They were just playing other stuff like Call of Duty and a number of other games out there, because of all of the issues that this game had between not only single player but also the multiplayer experiences. So now, more generous reviews were also somewhat disappointed. Kevin Van Ord of GameSpot said, "This madly inconsistent shooter offsets a number of thrilling moments with terrible artificial intelligence and an awful story, and a 7-hour campaign and uneventful multiplayer modes just don't cut it in light of the far better modern shooters available on the market." And that's really what I think hurt this game, guys. Was there was a bunch of other games out there that pretty much kind of stole a lot of those, people who were even considering playing Haze. That being like Resistance, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Unreal Tournament 3, you know, it's one of those things that there were just other games, guys, that people were going to when they saw how buggy this game was. I just think it was a missed opportunity. Similar to like a game like Evolve, guys. Evolve was a different type of game, and it had a lot of potential to it. And we've seen so many games now that have come out that have taken concepts from Evolve. Evolve just so happened to be that game that didn't do very well. It was almost like behind its time, or it was ahead of its time technically, but at the same time, it was almost like something so new that it was kind of the first failure in that space. And I think Haze, not that it was the first of its kind, but it had some very interesting ideas, and they didn't land very well. And so all in all, guys, I think at the end of the day, I think that really what happened to this game wasn't so much that, you know, it was a horrific experience or something. It was just the reception was so bad. In 2015, The Guardian nominated Haze as one of the 30 worst video games of all time, noting that despite having an interesting concept, it was a hollow disappointment. The plot was impenetrable, and the characters laughable, and the single-player campaign judderly short. So, look, I'm not going to say it's one of the 30 worst video games of all time. That is ludicrous. I mean, I thought it was pretty good for what it was. It was certainly not one of the 30 worst all time. I thought that sometimes it feels like when there's a lot of people piling on bad reception and bad reviews, it just continues, and it's like a snowball effect, and you have so many bad reviews on something that really wasn't that bad. Sure, bugs and things of that nature, but even think about a game like No Man's Sky that had tons of bugs and so many issues, but they updated them and continued to support it. And then after a while, now look at where it's at. One of the best comeback stories. I wish we could have had that with Haze, because I would have liked to see a continuation of this franchise. I don't know, guys, if you're a massive fan of this franchise, I don't know if we're ever going to get a continuation of it, unfortunately. I don't think that we will, because of this bad reception. And if they did, it probably would come out on PlayStation. I mean, maybe on Xbox and on Windows. I would hope so, but it's hard to say at this point. But I want to know from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Did you like Haze if you played it? And would you like to see a continuation of the Haze franchise moving forward, like a second chance, a second life, kind of like some of these other games that we have talked about, like, you know, Evolve 2. Would you want to see another Evolve game? Well, let's talk about Haze. Would we want to see another Haze title brought out and given, you know, a second breath of fresh air? Let's talk about that. And I hope you guys will kind of have like real conversation about it and kind of be open-minded, right? That we can have these real conversations, whether we're talking positive, negative. I want to hear everything. But would you want to see a continuation of this franchise? Like I said, let me know in the comment section below. And for more Haze videos and content, stay here with Zero TV.